me as a person, as a player, I didn't know who the was in charge. I think that was my biggest thing. I didn't know what the to expect whenever I would go into the gym, whenever I go into the plane, whenever I go into the game. I was like, man, I would think I was as lost as the next motherfucker.
Meaning there was a lot of voices.
Yeah.
And a lot of input from a lot of different places.
And just so much going on any given day. I was like, yep, I guess I'm just here to work. I didn't even know who to talk to.
Philly fans, I got to get on y'all today. I know the video says every player that destroyed the process, but basically I'm talking about every player in the NBA period that makes the process look terrible. All the players they missed, all the players they traded, all the players they gave big, massive contracts to that failed, all the players that make them look terrible right now. Now, quick appreciation real quick. I appreciate the hell out of the love, the support I've been getting recently. A lot of people have been hitting me up saying, bro, keep posting daily. I love how you're talking about the playoffs every day, bro. You're making my day at all that stuff. And I'm going to continue to give y'all these daily videos because y'all enjoying them. So I appreciate that. If you are new, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, follow my Twitter. You're going to love the channel, bro. Just do it. Now, first, since we started with him, bro, let's just go Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, to me, is almost everything Philly could have used this year. No, he's not the greatest three-point shooter per se, but he can get to the mid-range and dominate at times. Also, he can create his own shot and create for others. Also, defensively, what he brings to every team, bro, you can't even deny that. Also, I feel like Philly was just mentally weak this year. Like, to be so terrible on the road, that shows a lack of a real strong mental leader, and they didn't have that. Jimmy Butler is that and more. Also, if you really look at Philly's roster, they don't have a closer. Like, Tobias Harris, to me, is their closest thing to a quote-unquote closer. And if that's your guy, bro, you're in trouble, especially in the playoffs. So, Jimmy Butler, losing him, that was a big-ass loss. Now, next, since I already mentioned his name, I have to continue talking about him. Tobias Harris. Signing that man and making him your highest-paid player on your team, like, that was a desperation sign. One, they lost Jimmy Butler. I can't get too mad at that, bro, because obviously he wanted a different scenery, and it's working out. Two, they lowballed one of their most important pieces, JJ Redick. How do you offer that man so little when he's so important to your system? Y'all have no floor spacing, and he's the best off-ball shooter in the league right now. Like, how do you undervalue that, Elton Brand? Once they lost him, and I guess try to overcompensate by paying Tobias Harris this massive contract and trading for Josh Richardson, who I guess was made to replace Jimmy Butler, who that's impossible. They lost all their floor spacing and they lost their leadership. I hate to pile on for Tobias, but if he's what you paid him and you maxed him out and made him the most highest paid player on your team, all that stuff, and Ben Simmons goes out, your predominant ball handler, you would expect Tobias to kind of take over some of those responsibilities, create for others, create for his own self and all that stuff. But in the playoffs, bro, he was terrible, like damn near a liability. And then on a deeper level, look who they lost when they traded for Tobias Harris last January, February. They lost Landry Shamet. I'm not saying he's a superstar or nothing like that, but what is he that Philly could use? Floor spacing. He can shoot the three. Look at Tobias Harris from three in the playoffs, and look at what Landry Shamet just did for the Clippers. So basically, in hindsight, you traded somebody who you really needed on a rookie contract for somebody you didn't really need, a bigger name Tobias Harris, and you maxed him out, and he's nowhere near worth what you're paying him, especially on that team. And then, to make matters even worse, once you lost JJ Redick and Jimmy Butler, you signed Tobias Harris, who's known to be a power forward. You have Joel Embiid, who is a center. You have Ben Simmons, who basically played power forward and point guard his whole life. Three bigs. You go out and sign and max out another big, Al Horford. Doesn't make any sense. For what you're paying Al Horford, bro, he's been terrible. Like, he's been a dumpster fire for what you're paying him. You maxed him out at 33 years old. So when he finishes his contract, he's going to be 37 years old. Bro, you know who you could have kept instead of getting Al Horford and all that? And I know it's hindsight now because you traded for him and all that. You could have kept Dario Saric. Look at Dario Saric's last full season in Philly, and look at what Al Horford just did on a max contract. Bro, Dario was way better. And that brings me to the Jimmy Butler trade. Now, I'm not mad at that trade because it was a good move at the moment. And, you know, it worked out temporarily. But if you really look at it, two teams got finessed when they traded for Jimmy Butler. Minnesota got finessed, and then they finessed y'all ass. I know it looked pretty decent at the moment, and this is hindsight. But essentially, Elton Brand traded Dario Saric, basically a better Al Horford for Philly, and Robert Covington, a 3-and-D guy, for 55 games and a disappointing ass playoff run of Jimmy Butler. It's like, I can't really get too mad at that because it is Jimmy Butler, but you knew his contract was coming up, and then you went and signed for Tobias Harris. You traded for Tobias Harris. So essentially, your 4 best players that you were going to max were going to be 4 players who can't shoot. Like, that's terrible planning. And lastly, and trust me, this one is a tough one for me because I grew up with them, but you traded 2 spots up to get Markelle Fultz. Now, I understand how great Markelle was at Washington and all that, but if you really look at it, LA was going to get Lonzo Ball. Like, I feel like we all knew that. And Boston really wasn't in dire need for a point guard, so they got Jason Tatum anyway. They finessed y'all. Danny Ainge even said he was going to get Tatum anyway. You traded 2 spots up and you didn't even have to. Imagine if y'all traded 2 spots up and took Jason Tatum, like y'all actually took Jason. I said this in one of my older videos. Joel Embiid has to get traded to me. Like, I know people love Joel, but he's the one that has to get traded. He's more injury prone. I would trade Joel Embiid ASAP while his stock is high. If you did that, you could actually build around Ben Simmons and Jason Tatum similar to Giannis and Chris Middleton. And actually, it will probably be better because Tatum is better than Chris Middleton. And think about the value they could have gotten from Joel Embiid paired with Jason Tatum and Ben Simmons. Bro, that's an Eastern Conference Finals contending team, but, you know, they messed up. When I look at the Markelle Fultz disaster and the bust and all that stuff he was in Philly, it wasn't even all his fault. Like, look at what he got drafted into. When you get drafted, you expect to do something kind of similar to what you did in college. In college, he was a point guard. He facilitated, he created for others, he got his own shot. He was a legitimate point guard. He gets drafted to Philly, and they already have a 6'10" ball-dominant dude that can't shoot, Ben Simmons. How could I legitimately call you a bust when you get drafted to do what you did in college, but the team that drafted you didn't even give you enough room to do what you did in college? Like, how can I legitimately call you a bust? For that specific team, I have to give him a pass. He didn't really have no room. So for me, these are like all the Philly signings, at least for the last 3 years, that they just messed up and kind of ruined. And Elton Brand and Sam Hinkie, all this stuff they went through, Philly, the process is just destroyed, bro. If you guys like this video, man, follow my Twitter, follow my new IG. I appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me, man. It makes my day. Do all that great stuff, guys. And until next time, as always, stay tuned.